Good day, everyone. Today we're going to present to you and explain to you about the topic types of communication according to mood, style, purpose, and context.
First, let's talk about communication moods. There are different modes of communication including verbal, nonverbal, and written. Verbal communication refers to the use of words. For example is kanang friends akong barkadas ug ako kay nakipag-talk to each other. That's called verbal communication. Kinagamit man mi og mouth for us to talk. Nonverbal Nonverbal communications refers to body gestures, facial expressions, or even tone of voice. For example, ali kay kanang ako ug akong friends kana siya sa far, pero dili ra po kay layo. Tapos kuan kanang nami way of saying hi like waving nga na waving la pero wala siya use of mouth. Nag-wave lang mi. Kan mo na siya pasabot og hi, mga na. Mo na siya nonverbal communication.
Hello, my name is Mark Quincy O. Obordo and I'm here to discuss about the type of communication according to context. Let us begin. So, type of communication according to context refers to the factors that works together to determine the meaning of a message when a conversation takes place. This works to interpret part of the message. So in short, context is how to determine the meaning behind the message received. This is important because it gives meaning to the communication. It tells the listener how urgent or important the message is. Without good context, meaning of the message is miscommunicated, which means that no one involved in that communication accomplished what they needed. The first part of communication according to context is the intrapersonal communication. Is defined as communication with oneself, and that may include self-talk, act of imagination and visualization, and even recalling memories. Intrapersonal communication is the way of communicating that we do with our inner self. It takes place inside our heads, for instance, solving any complex problem in your head, or thinking about what to have for dinner, or analyzing your thought process or belief. Intrapersonal communication incorporates acts of imagination, self-talk, visualization, recall, and other sorts of internal vocalization. The next is the interpersonal communication, the process of exchange of information, ideas, and feelings between two or more people through verbal or non-verbal methods. So it's the opposite of intrapersonal communication, which incorporates self-vocalization. Interpersonal communication often includes face-to-face exchange of information in the form of voice, facial expression, body language, and gestures. The level of one interpersonal communication skills is measured through the effectiveness of transferring message to others. Another is the extended communication. Extended communication involves the use of electronic media. With the use of electronic media, messages are transmitted quickly, unlike before when it's called for the use of television and radio. Nowadays, the description of extended communication may expanded as to include tele, audio, or phone conferencing, video conferencing, Skype calls, and other technological means. Then, the organizational communication. It focuses on the roles that communication plays in the organizational context. Organizations comprise individuals who work for the company. Examples are rules and regulation in a company. For an organization to be successful, a system of communication shall be put in place. A set of rules or standard for communication protocol should be made clear so that interaction patterns are established. On the part of the individual, you should be equipped with the needed oral and written communication skills that the organization expects you to possess. So, organizational communication is related to all communications that are in organizational contexts.
Good day. I will discuss the type of organizational structure. There are two types of organizational structure: formal structure and informal structure. Formal structure. This refers to official communication channel in an organization where message follow a set direction according to rule and hierarchy. 1. Downward communication. Message flow from higher position to lower position, top management to employees. For example, a manager giving instruction to staff about new company policies. Upward communication. Message flow from lower position to higher position, employees to managers. For example, an employee submitting a progress report to a supervisor or suggesting improvement. Horizontal communication. Communication occur between individual or group at the same level but in different department or units. For example, the marketing team coordinating with the sales team to launch a new product. Crosswise communication. Diagonal communication that occur between the employees at different levels and department. For example, a junior accountant directly emailing the HR manager about payroll concern instead of going through their immediate supervisor. The next reporter is Joshua Alipian.
Types of organization structure. B. Informal communication comes from unofficial channels of message flow, also known as grapevine. Message coming from the different levels of the organization are transmitted. Example, in a company, an employee hears from a coworker that their manager is planning to promote someone from their team. The manager has not made any official announcement yet, but the information spreads quickly among employees during lunch, break, and chat message. Intercultural communication is a communication between or among people having different linguistic, religious, ethnic, social, and professional backgrounds. Even gender difference affects communications. Individuals having and interpret messages differently. This particularly happens with nonverbal communication. Example, a Filipino manager is having an online meeting with a Japanese client. During the conversation, the manager keeps smiling to show friendliness, but the Japanese client interprets too much smiling as unprofessional. Meanwhile, the client remains very formal and quiet, which the Filipino manager mistakenly sees a disinterest.
When individuals exhibit different communication styles, it's easy for conflict or misunderstanding to occur. Understanding the characteristics and tendencies of different communication styles can help us to effectively interact with someone who has a different styles. Good day. I am Aya Bernadette Sumagang and I will discuss about informal communication. Informal communication does not employ formal language. It involves personal and ordinary conversations with friends, family members, or acquaintance about anything under the sun. The mode may be oral, as in face to face, ordinary or everyday talks and phone calls, or written as in case of email messages, personal notes, letters, or text messages. An example of informal communication would be a text, messages, conversation with a friend about plans for the weekend. The purpose of this communication is to socialize and to simply socialize and enhance relationships.